Oh my god, just when that song was about to peak, we have to
ready for the
ruin it.
drop.
You're ready for the drop? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's gonna be. I'm sorry. I have to cut it off. I'm so. How
It's
are
fine.
you, Reggie? It's been so long.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Oh, it's nice. It's good fun to be here. I'm actually freezing fucking cold at the moment because in this room of the house it gets to like -2 degrees. So, and I'm not even lying. Like that's not even exaggeration. I'm literally freezing right now.
Well, hopefully tonight we can warm you up with some spicy content, some spicy esports content.
Have we got some spicy esports content, or am I going to have
should
to
do.
a la Carbon and have a rant about Bard?
We should. Well, I mean, let's hold that off for a second. But first of all, really quickly, I would like to know. So, a lot of people are probably wondering, where's been Nico? Where's been Judge? Well, if you don't know this, we solve mysteries in our spare time, and we won't bore you with the details. But we were out like all last week with a whole bunch of people solving all these incredibly bad murders.
I mean, look, they were grisly murders, but I'm glad that the two of us are on the case, tag team, if you will. Now Ducky has been sent out. His inquisitive mindset is perfect for the task of catching only the world's most messed up psychopaths. Yeah, that's exactly what we do in our off time, Nico.
I mean, everyone needs a hobby. Anyway, we must get into the nitty-gritty stuff now. Before we supposed to start, so if you're tuning in for the first time, we usually go through a bit of esports news, and we have two guests. First, we're going to be having Bullet. He's an Apex player, and we're going to be having him chatting about some really good modern FPS stuff. And secondly, at around 8:30, Rusty will be coming in, and we're going to chat to him about the OPL, and then we're also going to chat a bit about Valorant, because that is the hottest thing to ever hit this ever since PUBG, I would say. I'm going to confidently say that. When PUBG first came out.
Look, PUBG can sit in its own little reserved corner for now, but you're right. No, Valorant certainly had some buzz akin to what PUBG had on release. I've certainly felt it and been overcome by the pull that is another Riot Games free-to-play game that's going to consume my life and my wallet.
Yeah, well, hey, why succumb when you can become? You know what I mean? First off, I'd like to chat a little bit about esports news. This is some of the news that we found interesting throughout the week. Six Masters, it's currently happening right now, but hey, if you don't want to check out what they're doing, you can check out ours or have it on two screens. Why not? That's what I do. I've got two
Just
monitors.
real gamer moments, bro. Real gamer
Exactly.
hours. Snowball Esports show and Rainbow Six Masters, same time, same place. Not the same
Exactly.
place, but it could be the same place in your home. Viewing parties post-COVID. Hey,
Exactly. This is the
ideas.
world we live in. This is the world we live in. Kanga finally got a map under their belt. They went 1-13 at the end of the season. Unfortunately, they didn't pull out like a miraculous turnaround or anything like that. But they did get a win, which is what I think me and I know definitely Ducky were holding out for because we're number one fans of Spruce. And we're also going to look about OPL. OPL, we'll chat with OPL a lot more in depth when Rusty comes onto the show. But PGG looking very strong. Pentanet Gaming for all you people are playing at home. They're looking very strong at the moment. They just beat Chiefs and they also beat Mammoth. Two pretty big wins, pretty surprisingly big wins. And the Direwolves also not looking. They're on the opposite side of the spectrum. They're not looking too great. They're sitting at 0-2, so a lot of reflecting to be done by the boys over at Direwolves. They lost to Avant as well. They lost to Avant, and the grand final rematch against Legacy. Legacy looked absolutely dominating in that match, so we'll see how the team looks. They might be, getting used to a bunch of things, new season, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at the OPL at the moment and seeing the names, but not seeing results that we used to come from them. Well, in my humble opinion, we're used to seeing Direwolves had such a tear over the last few seasons with some top players and top plays, and to see them, copping one to Avant is a little surprising, but also don't want to discredit all the work that Avant are putting in with their roster and the boys over there working very hard as well. The grand final rematch against Legacy's going to be some interesting stuff, so make sure to get amongst that. But yeah, absolutely. Look, Pentanet Gaming, gotta love them for our boy Aparbu. They are looking strong, so gotta give them support where it is, and love what's coming out over their camp as well. Obviously, new addition to the OPL and new addition in general to the esports space, but they've got some great people backing them, and keen to see what they can continue to achieve. But let's get away from that MOBA and let's talk briefly about your favorite one, Nico. It's Dota 2, Defense of the Ancients 2, if you will, to be fancy.
Number one wasn't enough.
No,
they had
it
to
wasn't.
Do it a second time.
Have to defend the Ancients multiple times. They must be upheld. ESL1 Birmingham has been going on, of course. We've mentioned it on previous episodes of the show. And Team Secret has beat Team Alliance in a crushing display of 3-0. If you haven't already, make sure you check out all that's been happening in the Dota 2 world, especially ESL1 Birmingham. But domestically, my friend, if I may enter the foray of FPS before we bring in our first guest, the ESL ANZ champs have been underway, of course, looking up wonderful brackets and researching. We've had some interesting games come through, and we have, of course, been plugging the CSGO every time we finish the show with what's on Weekend Esports. But recently, we had a couple of big results. The Truckers took out a 2-0 over Renegades on the 9th of June, which was pretty big. It was Vertigo and Inferno, and they took that 16-14, very close Vertigo, and a 16-6 Inferno. That dropped Renegades down to the lower bracket, where they faced off against Avant and pulled it up 2-0. Had a big day in the Renegades camp there. Also worth noting, Paradox Gaming played against Ground Zero at the same time. They went and took the win 2-1. And that now puts Paradox up against Renegades in the lower bracket round 3. That, of course, is going to be played on the 16th at 6 p.m. Australian Central Time. That's my time. If you're over East, I don't care. No, it'll be played at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you get onto that. And currently, if you're doing that whole two-screen action and don't have the Six Masters on, which you should, you can also catch Paradox Gaming playing in ESEA right now. I can't remember who they're up against, but I do know they're live, so you can suss that. DreamHack Masters Spring for 2020 has been going on. Of course, we've been plugging that as well. Over in Europe is where I want to have a look. Particularly at Fnatic and Mad Lions. That was played on the 10th, and Mad Lions managed to take that one away 2-1. Was a good series to watch, with the scores coming in 16-7, 5-16, and then a little closer on the third map, Mirage 16-10. Also worth looking at was the game Ninjas in Pajamas against Team Vitality. That was a close series of 3 maps as well, ultimately coming out to NIP. So we'll be seeing over in EU Na'Vi versus Mad Lions, which should be interesting, as well as FaZe Clan and Ninjas in Pajamas. More on that a little bit later in the show. And Nico, you're an avid LoL fan.
A little bit, yeah.
Avid LoL fan, of course. So this one's for you. I'm aware of your 1v1 skills. The Red Bull solo queue challenge is, of course, having more qualifiers up and coming. Friday, June 19th, and playing out weekend long for 3 weekends in a row. The Friday Cup already has 31 players signed up, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now for everyone to check it out. But make sure you check that out. Being run through ESL Play. I think that's looking sick. I think it's a cool initiative. Cool to get all those 1v1 me bro scrubs that I seem to find in mid lane in solo queue actually competing in a 1v1 competition.
What are you saying, Judge? Are you saying that you want to 1v1 me right now? Like, I mean, we can cut the show, we can go on the Rift, and I will take you down a peg or two. All right,
Swifty, do we have production available for that? Because
do we have an emergency 1v1?
I'm about to clap some cheeks of a journalist right now.
All right, you know what? I would love to get into it. I would love to get it. Like, you're talking a lot of smack for someone that is in beating distance right now. But first, we have to introduce our first guest of the night. He's an Apex player. He is a legend on the FPS scene.
He is.
Some would say, yeah, he is. I heard that, and I also said that. It is Bullet and Swift. He's on screen. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you
on. Hello. Pleasure to be here. How you guys going?
Good, man. How are you?
Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Oh, welcome, my friend. I mean, Bullet, obviously you and I go back a little ways.
Sure.
You had the unfortunate mishap of having to travel to the United States to the X Games with me. Great event. Unfortunately, I had to come along with. But you have been a part of the Apex scene for quite some time, since its birth, really, in Australia, fighting it out in kill race competitions with Mogul GG, and then, of course, qualifying for the X Games. You've been completing in the Apex Legends Global Series as well. I've seen that of late with the Korean Rushes. Is that right?
That's correct.
What a name, man. What an absolute name. But look, I just wanted, for the viewers at home that may not be familiar with who you are, maybe some LoL fans or Rainbow Six fans in the chat, give us a bit of a rundown on who you are and where you've come from in esports.
Spin us a tale.
So basically, I've been playing first-person shooter games since I was a kid. Grew up playing them, really, like, thoroughly enjoyed them. And it wasn't probably till I finished high school where I was able to actually play the games that I really enjoyed competitively. And yeah, I guess that's kind of where I started off, just grinding the games and playing them competitively.
Where was your first entry into real competitive esports? Which title are we talking about there?
To be honest, I'd say it was just before I finished. It was while I was in high school, towards the end of it. I got to play in a PUBG tournament, the Zemo PUBG Invitational.
Very nice.
And yeah, I think that was probably my first big LAN that I played at.
Zemo was a pretty big event, looking at the scale of things, and was very different for the OCE region. How do you find competing in larger tournaments of late? Obviously not with COVID and everything being online at the moment, but you have competed. You went to the preseason invitational for Apex as well. What was that like compared to your first entry into esports all the way back at Zemo?
Oh, it was amazing, honestly. Going to an international event, attending an international event is it's such an amazing experience. It's hard to really explain, but it's awesome. Yeah.
So you've had some experience as a pro, as we've mentioned. You've gone to the X Games, you've gone to ALGS, but now you've got your sights set on Valorant a little bit. Is this a bit of I'm quitting Fortnite, I'm quitting CS, or I'm coming out of retirement move like we're seeing across the scene, or are you picking Valorant on its merits?
To be honest, I feel like in terms of longevity, I feel like Valorant's here to stay for a while. And I really value the way that they have presented the game to the competitive community globally. And I feel like it would just be a good decision to put in, I guess, as much effort into the game competitively, just to see, like if I can actually take it to the next level. Yeah, and that's basically it.
Now, you had a chance to play it in beta, didn't you, before
I
public
did, yeah.
release? Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to talk a little bit without getting into the nitty gritty of balancing too hard. People can head to Reddit for that. But how are you feeling in post launch compared to beta? How do you feel Riot's address, or the Valorant devs team specifically, have addressed balancing and introducing new characters to the game?
I think compared to other games that I've played, they're extremely good at what they do. They're very on top of the game. They're always like, if there's an issue that the community is complaining about, they're really quick to update it. And the way that they handle balancing, I feel like they've thoroughly reviewed something before they put it in the game. Um, so I feel really confident, just in general about how they handle the balancing.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, look, pro player side, I have managed to have a clutch ace with Reyna and thought she was
Wow, I
OP.
didn't know we were
All right.
flexing in here, man. I didn't know we were
Hey, you
flexing
can
in
have
here.
your moments in Rainbow Six, Nico, but let me have
There are
Valorant.
so
All
many.
right.
There are so many moments for me in the game.
But look, I love Reyna. I think she's great for her role. But I unfortunately engaged in discussion on Reddit, and that was a mistake because that was not intelligent. But
Are you
um,
doing okay? Are you doing
Say
okay
no
after
more.
that?
look,
Yeah.
I'm recovering from the scathing comments that I received. But look, Reyna feels like she can be quite strong, especially if given multiple aim duels, with the fact that she's got
For
healing as
sure.
well as a radial blind, and invulnerability. She's got a pretty crazy kit. But there are quite good characters, or agents, I should say, alongside her. We see Jet get a lot of good fun time with her maneuverability and her verticality. Of course, Nico
Hell
loving
yeah.
that.
But
Breach, I find, has a lot of good utility. What
For
if I
sure.
could ask you for 3 top agents for people starting out in Apex? 1 from the initial roster and 2 that they could unlock. Who would you pick?
So Sage, I feel like is a really basic and straightforward character. Really
Mhm.
awesome to play. Currently the main healer. And she's just all around a really good character. She got her slobs and her wall. And the revive. I feel like she's just a very good character that's standard unlock that everyone has. And then the other two characters, or the other characters that you can unlock, I feel like each like character is so different, it honestly would depend on playstyle. Breach is really good. I personally I unlocked Breach, and then I think the other character that I unlocked was Raze. So a bit of an aggressive character and also a more passive utility based character. But I guess you could go like either way.
I agree. I think that it very much varies on playstyle, just like we see
Mhm.
people preferring different loadouts. Back in my days of Call of Duty, SMG rush style players versus your AR kind of players that are a bit more strategic and holding flanks and getting that cross play coming through. We get a lot of that with the abilities of each agent, kind of drawing on Overwatch, but it's less of a 6-on-6 all in and more of a 5v5 calculated play in
Yeah.
Valorant. When we're looking at utility, I find Brimstone's my favorite. What do you think is the single best utility in the game?
Single best utility.
Mhm.
That's a bit
Ooh.
of a rough one because there is a lot
Yeah, get
of
you right
a
here, right
There's
now.
a lot of
Tell us. Hey,
utility.
no dancing. No dancing around the subject, bro. Just get to the nitty gritty, bro.
How
I
you
want to
feeling,
hear it.
Bullet?
um
TikTok, man. I
man,
want to.
I'd have to say I guess can I say Reyna's double heal and invulnerability?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
fair. I think.
as an entry character or a character that's supposed to make plays, I feel like that is extremely as like a solo carry, even just an extremely good ability. Like having just being able to re-heal basically up to full health after taking a 1v1 with someone is extremely good. And it's really, I guess, gratifying just making, insane plays with that character.
Absolutely. Nico, I know you've been fiending the Valorant a little bit, and I want that
Yes,
answer
I
from
have.
you as well. What's
Right.
your single best utility in the game right now?
I think it's Jet's is it ultimate? I don't know what to call it. It's her main ability.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
the
that's what I
knife
call it.
that turns
Oh,
me
yeah.
into a goddamn pro. Like I can see. So this is how I read it. I feel like Sage can make anyone look good because all you have to do is heal and res. I mean, any old person can pick up that character or that agent, and play it and do well. But I feel like Jet, there's a bit of like you have a different play style than I haven't played really before, which is like I just rush shotgun, I get in there and I just go bang, 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 up in the air, bam. And I say that while I do it as well. I say it as I'm doing it
I'm
as well.
Make the sound
I'm
effects and
picturing it
everything.
right now. Yeah.
So
We need. Oh God.
so Jet's, I think Jet's ultimate, I guess, is
Yeah.
to me, it's very satisfying when you get the headshot on, and you just feel like,
Can we get that again? What sound effects that, Nico? Yeah.
like a chef's
That's
kiss,
great.
like, I want to,
Yeah, we're
and then you
definitely
get
gonna turn that
immediately
into sound
bodied by
effects later.
someone from behind. Yeah, you get
That's
immediately
it.
bodied.
See, I'm pretty partial to Brimstone.
Yeah,
but I think
yeah. Come on,
that's-
you give us. You're over there. Give us.
He's amazing. Don't
I'm
worry.
this way. Brimstone E. I love Brimstone E for smokes. I think that in a game, especially because it's casual at the moment, and everyone's trying to post on Twitter them dropping 40 to 70 kills a game, like everyone's rushing, even on defense. And I just find that smokes, it's something ingrained in FPS gamers that if a smoke is there, you just don't push it. And having 3 of them that are semi-global at the start of every round for cheap,
True.
it's
That's
really
pretty
good utility. You can zone off a lot. And things like executes. Like I'm not
For sure.
seeing, even in my casual gameplay, which is pretty low quality, I'm not getting many executes. Even in CS, you go in a CS MM in silver, and there's going to be kids sitting there who have sitting in customs finding smokes for Mirage, but no one's really doing that yet unless they're really 5-man hard stacking it and trying to push ready for competitive play. So I think if you're wanting some good utility, Brimstone's my boy. Brimstone's my boy.
yeah.
But
now, real quick, can I just ask
let's
one
go,
question?
Nico.
Please?
Yeah, get in there. I want to get you in there.
I heard the agents question, right? Is there some like, and if you're starting out, what are some agents that you play? But I would like to hear what are your thoughts on like, can you give us like some advice for a new person that's just starting out and they don't know what guns to buy or when to buy abilities tokens, I guess. You're speaking to one right now. Can you give me some advice? Can you descend from Mount Olympus of the FPS gods and give me some fire? Give me some things that can help me win a game. Is basically what I want to win a game. Okay, I just want to win a game.
For sure. Something that's extremely important, I definitely think, is management of economy. You need to make sure you have money, and you need to make sure you know how you manage your economy is super important.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing that
down. And also something that is extremely important is working together with your team. No matter if you're solo queue or 5 stacking, definitely have to work
forget
together.
about that. I actually did that. Sorry, no, that's good advice. Please, that was a bit. Go ahead. Sorry.
Trying to I guess coordinate with your team and push your site. And yeah, just even just trying to work together as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah, I guess those two I'd say are the most significant. Yeah.
How do you apply that in a solo queue match though? If you're trying to work as a team, but you got someone that's not, how to put it, not
extremely friendly.
Not extremely friendly is probably a good way to put it. He's being a bit toxic or anything like that. What is there something you give advice on that kind of aspect? I mean, it seems like it's.
I feel like most of the time you just have to be, I feel like probably overly positive. Just try and work with the other 3 teammates that you have, I suppose. Try and push a site. Sometimes those players will come around and just, they'll eventually work it out and start working with you. Either that or they just do their own thing, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much you can do about that, right? So
yeah, exactly. I guess rising tide lifts all ships, I guess. Judge, sorry to interrupt before. I think you've got
No,
something.
you're all good, man. But I want to talk, and that's very on point actually to what I wanted to talk about next. How are you finding the Rand experience? What's it like playing casuals at the moment with players, some that could be very new to Valorant itself, some that are new to FPS, and some that think they're gods from CS 1.6 and can't hit a headshot? What's it like? Because I'm seeing mixed reviews on Twitter.
Yeah, I could definitely understand why you'd be seeing mixed reviews. I feel like so far, my experience, I'd say, is pretty positive. I've definitely run into my fair share of, I guess, interesting individuals, I'll say. But yeah, but most of the time, I feel like for a brand new community, so to speak, it's pretty decent so far. But yeah, like I feel like obviously at different levels of play, you will definitely experience more toxic individuals, I'd say.
That's
Yeah.
a good way of putting it. I mean, my experience so far has been pretty good, and I think it's been mostly because I've applied some of your advice in trying to be overly positive.
Yeah,
We all have bad games, and when you're playing competitive titles, it can, if you're a particularly wired individual, you might get a bit hot under the collar towards a teammate that's 0 and
for
13. But
sure. Yeah,
I find that just if you take it and flip it and be overly positive, like even go as far as just let them know, hey, rough game, don't worry about it, like it's all
for
good.
sure.
The amount of relief I've heard in some players' voices in casual
Yeah,
just by letting them know, hey, it's okay. Like,
for
how are
sure.
you finding that?
100%.
Are you finding that, like, sometimes
Oh
people
no,
have a bad game and they just feel shamed by it?
yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that, honestly. You definitely like, sometimes, you just have a bad day and that's that, everyone has those kind of days. And I feel like having an open mindset, um, between each game, really helps. So yeah, definitely agree with what you're
Absolutely, dude.
saying.
Now, let's harken back to your Apex Pro times and running through some different formats here. Obviously, Valorant Esports is going to be getting underway. Riot's commented that they're going to be allowing third-party access to run community-focused, community-driven events to begin with as well. But we all know how that goes in some esports titles. You've been through the ringer with a few different formats over the years in Apex. What are you looking for when it comes to a Valorant professional scene in terms of format?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what to expect because I've definitely come from a very different genre, that being BRs, battle royales.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how Riot decide to tackle the Valorant scene. I feel like there's a lot of hype behind it. I feel like there's a lot of expectation, um, and I honestly it can go very many different ways. I've got a lot of faith in Riot. I feel like they could definitely create something really special with what they have at the moment. But honestly, I'm not quite sure how they're going to go about it. I feel like it might be something similar to maybe Counter Strike and maybe something like League of Legends. But I guess we'll find out.
I mean, I don't know about you, Nico, but I've been thinking that it's probably going to be probably a mix, like Bullet said, between Counter Strike and League, in that we're going to start out with a very third party based push, especially from smaller grassroots community organizations looking to
For
get their
sure,
foot in
yeah.
the door with Valorant, and then obviously I think Riot will grab hold
Hmm.
of it and run it like its little LCS baby. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I think I agree with what Lewis said earlier, which was he was talking about how it's right abroad. It's going to be a nurtured scene. It's kind of
Hmm.
like you can put your trust in it because you're leaving it to the experts, right? They have over 10 years experience of developing an esports team with League of Legends. And for God's sakes, if someone could, play League of Legends for 10 years and not get bored of it, or they could run League of Legends for 10 years and not get bored of it, I mean, I think Valorant is in really good hands.
For sure.
Um,
I think so too.
yeah, I think even though I'm not very good at it, I still play it. I still have a fun time playing it. Hey, who knows? I mean, I'm looking forward to where it has to go, and I wouldn't cut yourself short about there not being a battle royale Valorant. They might. I mean, if CS:GO did it, I mean, who knows what Riot are capable of? Anyway, I think I've wrapped up my question. How are you looking, Judge?
Look, I just wanted to get a final question in, Bullet. You've been following the Valorant
Go for it.
esports space domestically a little bit, and obviously there's nothing formal that's come out, nothing Riot-led that feeds into a global tournament. So what is happening for Valorant on the community level here in OCE at the moment?
At the moment, we're seeing a lot of different smaller tournaments by various, I guess, communities. I think the two most recent ones, one was done by Let's Play Live, and the other one was done by, I guess, the Valorant OCE community, as it's
Mhm.
called. And they're basically like a Discord, and then they ran a tournament with a prize pool. So far, the amount of teams that have been entering in these tournaments is crazy. From the get go, we're seeing a lot of teams, and a lot of interest in the competitive side of Valorant, even in OC, which is amazing to see, honestly.
It's good. I mean, look, always good to have a grassroots scene pop up and
For
show that
sure.
they're willing to support the game even without
100%.
developer support. We're looking at a developer that, like Nico said's run a scene for 10 years in quite a good fashion, despite community uproars and support and love on the other end and ups and downs all around. So we're looking forward to what Valorant brings in the space. Well, Bullet, you've been wonderful to have on the show. Where can people find you?
Plug yourself.
I I stream most days on twitch.tv/BulletLL.
Perfect. And make sure you go follow Bullet over on his Twitter page as well. Wonderful Snowball Esports Show viewers. If you follow the Snowball Esports Show and are probably watching because of that, you would have seen his Twitter tag linked in there. But thank you very much, Bullet, for joining us on the show. Thanks for your insights.
I've also linked your Twitch into chats, and no one has an excuse. Click on it, like it. I followed him.
Just follow it.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, guys.
You're welcome, dude.
Take care, mate.
All
Now-
right. Well, with that, Nico, I think
Yeah?
it's time for us to throw to a small commercial break.
What I'm saying might be reckless, but I meant it when I said it.
Oh, hello.
And I know I might regret it, but it's time I give a lesson. Hope your feelings, they don't listen. Knowing I'm not where you are, it's this feeling in my heart, and it aches when we're apart. I can't stand to see the stars, knowing I'm not where you are, while you're playing in the dark. I am tired, so Won't you come to bed soon? Wait in my bedroom, counting the hours till you get to me. Watch by the white room, stuck in my bedroom, counting the hours till you get to me.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Judgy, what'd you get up to
Yes.
in the break?
Look, I did a great many things. Solved 3 murders, as we were talking about before the show.
That's very
It's
quick.
amazing what you can do in 2.5 minutes with some determination and grit. Not only that, but I solved everything. I just solved all the problems.
The
all
things
of
we do here at Snowball Esports. But first,
2 plus 2 is
I'd
4.
like- exactly. He's done it
Problem
again.
solved.
He's done it
Yep,
again.
done
I
it
might
again.
as well just leave now. This is the Judgy show. Now, but I have to introduce our next guest. Well, he does need no introduction because everyone should know who
I
this
like
man
one.
is. He's handsome, talented, charismatic. Wait a
That's
minute.
not true.
This is my Chris Hemsworth list. I get these two things mixed up all the time. They're so easily mixed up. They share so many of the same qualities. It's Rusty, everyone. He is the OPL caster, former pro, lovely person. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
You may be the first person to ever say former pro in an introduction. Like it was so long ago, so far away in history that people don't even remember it. So that's a
Do you
first.
I feel like I got to pay homage at some point. Like, I mean, come on.
I mean, I'll take it for what it's worth. But no, I'm
Brother-
very happy to be here and talk some shit because I'm allowed to. This is
Yeah, we're
great.
talking smack. This is unhinged. We're unchained, if you will. So, we're glad to have you. Unhinged. Unhinged is probably not what we are.
We're not stable, Rusty, just so you know. We're unhinged.
We're unhinged here on the Snowball Show, but like we're so happy to have you on. We're here to chat about. We're going to chat about some battle later on, but first we want to touch on some of the OPL stuff that happened this week, or this weekend, last weekend. Some exciting stuff, some interesting moments, some predictable moments. I feel. I want to touch on Pentanet real quick because I feel like they were. Excuse me. I think they were quite the stars of the weekend. I would say. I feel like they were I felt that they really shone. We saw glimmers of that in Split 1, but now we're really starting to see them arise from the ashes, if you will, like some sort of phoenix.
I would say that Pentanet.gg were definitely the bells of the ball for the first week. And I do think that their performances kind of mirrored my Split 1 expectations. When the season first started, everyone was releasing their tier lists as you do. I actually had them in the top 3 for that first split, right? And I was very wrong by the end of the split, but they've put a top laner in the jungle position, and somehow that's the key to success, So it feels like they were missing something very small if this is the sign of, the Pentanet that we'll continue to have, because they beat the Chiefs.
They just needed that Pabu Chad energy. That's what it was. It's just
apparently
Chad across the rift. You can only get that kind of spread from the jungle.
I think what they did need was, because you just mentioned Pabu, was someone experienced in the jungle role, perhaps. Not as a jungler, but someone with experience, right? I know Sully's existed behind the scenes for a long time. So it's not to say that he's explicitly inexperienced, but it's clear that they weren't meshing.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. I think, and also you got Rogue in support as well. He's had a bit of experience. I think they quite gel with each other as well. They can really, I don't know, kind of mentor the rest of the team in a way. Because Rogue's got experience overseas,
But here's the thing: with experience, I think it's actually like a cop-out statement for a lot of things. Like, because someone has played for 3 years doesn't necessarily mean that they have the experience that a team needs. Like when Rogue first started in the scene, he was a mechanics player. Like, he was a thresh one trick. He'd hit hooks left, right, and center, and we're like, that's sick. Keep doing that. And now suddenly he's the leader of a bombers squad. But like that team had other leaders, right? They were all vocal. So is him being in Pentanet like, is he actually a leader, or is he experienced, or like, does he want to do what Doublelift did, which is focus on his mechanics instead and just
Yep.
start to perform better individually? Wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah.
I think you're onto something there as well, Rusty. Sorry, Nico.
No, Judge, take it away.
I think you're onto something there as well that a lot of people don't want to talk about, especially in a region like ours that is so remote and removed, is the difference between a player holding actual tangible experience versus a player having gone through experiences. You know, talking about the differences between mechanical players and how they've been able to focus in on that versus, oh, well, that player's gone and played at a mid-season invitational or gone and played over an All-Stars. That's a lot of experience when, you know, that's not necessarily always the case, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it may just not be the right kind of experience. You know, like there's a veteran who's been battle hardened and been to many wars, but he may not have the right role for the squad that he's in certain circumstances. If I was to find a real life analogy, which I just pulled out of my bum, we'll take it.
Hey, it works. We'll pay it. No, I think you're right, and
yeah.
I think that, you know, I'm curious and excited to see how Pentanet go in future weeks, having someone so experienced in that jungle role. Cause I think, like when we had the man himself on with Carbon, jungle is such an important role, and you can have a lot of influence across many lanes. So it's nice to have someone with a lot of experience there for Pentanet.
Yeah, he also plays order next week, Pentanet, and that'll be, to me, that's the bar. If you can beat
Yeah.
order, you can get in playoffs.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. From what we've
Hands
seen
down.
from in the past, they're kind of like the gatekeepers of that realm. Now, the bit of a shock to me, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the big shock for me was Direwolves. That they were in the grand final, and now they're starting off the season 0-2. So it seems like a lot of things weren't gelling with the team. Obviously, they didn't have a rematch, but I mean, losing to Avant, I feel like that's the game they should have won.
Yeah, I will say this, the Legacy games, just no one even consider them. Legacy are so far above everyone else
Crazy.
right now that, like,
It's
if they
crazy.
drop a game, it's something that they've done wrong at this point. Like, the thing with, who we're talking about? I've lost them. Direwolves.
Direwolves.
The thing with Direwolves is that they changed their style from what they did in playoffs that they made the finals with in the first week. So, like, you haven't had that much time off, really. You've had a few weeks at most. They've been pretty active as well, for what it's worth. Like, they had the MSS, the Streamathon as well. Chippies was participating in that. So they haven't been silent. And then they came in and just did a 180. So whatever's happened in their off season, I think this first week was the real wake up call that it may not be working for them. So you'd expect to see them bounce back, but that was a shocker.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it's something that they would, after the second match had been done, they really had to go back to the drawing board and had to readjust a couple of things. Because, I mean, I know it's hard to tell in the first weekend of who's going to be where and where's going to be what. But, I mean, we're starting to see similar trends as well that happened in Split 1 that we're seeing in Split 2. So you've got Mammoth and Gravitas both losing as well. So what do you think's going on there? If you could go into Mammoth right now and give them any word of advice or anything like that, what would you give them?
Oh, try not to change so much between splits when you're not the best team. Like, so many people do this, and like we don't know the ecosystem of teams, right? So they could have reasons. But if I see a team finish in the bottom two and their decision is to just like almost reinvent a lot of it, you have to expect to lose again, right? Most of these teams that build rookie rosters, which is Mammoth and Gravitas, they're meant to be a 1 to 2 year plan team. So you're meant to come into the second split with the same roster built upon and improved upon until it wins. But there's just constant roster shifts. So like, what is it actually going to take for them to win? Well, they're going to have to do the same thing as split 1. So we wait for week 8, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're writing it out until the end. We're just going to have a little bit of fun along the way. But I feel like that kind of sees them as a free win in a way. And I don't know how that would gel with the players, because my number one concern in all this kind of stuff is like, how the players feel, how the players doing. And I feel, I don't know, these guys, are they trying their best? Are they doing their best?
They weren't for the first 3 weeks of Split 1. And then we had them to their first victory. We had an interview with the Mammoth boys in particular, and they were like, we just started taking it serious. Like at a certain point, you get sick of losing. Like they're all professionals, they're all competitive. And at a certain point, you just get sick of it. So you start taking it way too seriously, and that's what it takes. Are they serious now? It's been 2 games. It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
it's really hard to say. I mean, it's tough to gel on, but I mean, I don't like the looks of it though. But yeah, and also Gravitas is sort of falling in line as well. So the mammoth, I would call them the mammoth team because just there's so many players involved in that goddamn team. But yeah, we're starting to see a similar trend with them as well. Who knows how that's going to work out.
I feel as well, Nico, and of course, pure speculation. I don't know the inner workings of either of these teams and how they communicate. But when from the outside, I'm seeing a team that's had a bad 6 months, not even bad split, right? And they're not getting performance, or they've had a bad year in any esport, and they gut the roster and re-roll the dice, like what Rusty said on that being a time investment in these rookie teams, trying to foster the talent. I feel that it's hard on the players as well to understand their full potential when that's how they're being dealt with, because it can't be a good thing for communication either to think that you're going to come into a team as rookie talent and be fostered and learn how to be not just a top solo queue player, but how to actually function in this environment and function in this ecosystem of being a professional, to then be thrown out with the bathwater because the whole team just can't perform. Maybe you weren't meshing. Maybe there were far too many systematic things that were going on that meant the team didn't perform. Like, that's what really gets me concerned, is where the players fit into that ecosystem of communication, and whether they get left out, because you can't just plan to pick up a 5 stack of solo queue fraggers and do well in week 1, can you, Rusty?
No, and I think so. The one thing that Gravitas and Mammoth both did well, even with all the changes they made, was they kept the best, so to speak, of the players that were there. So like with Mammoth, I think Mboma and Bass were very good. They were standout rookies to me. They still exist. So like if that's the foundation they're going to build off, fantastic. It's just that again, those things will take time because you've replaced everything around them, right? The systems that you're talking about have all changed around them.
That makes sense.
Now, Rusty, I know you said it was a bit too soon, but are you starting to see who would be front runners? I know we said Legacy, but who would be coming second then?
Yeah.
And do you see any wooden spooners, if you dare to say?
Wooden spoon. I feel like
you
it has
flip
to be.
flip a coin. What heads, Gravitas, tails, Mammoth?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it has to be Mammoth, right? But
Right.
they've got a whole split to prove me wrong. Like week 1, I would pick them. Week 5, it may be someone else. Like the way that Avant started this split, they're not down there at all. But that could change in a few weeks as well as everyone improves. I'd definitely say Mammoth for Wooden Spoon, and no one is gonna catch Legacy.
Legacy of Leagues.
Probably
What is it?
Order.
Order.
So actually,
Oh, that's a I like that one.
I think Order will be 4th. I take it back.
Oh, right. I'm gonna write that down.
I'm just actually tier listed the whole league at this point.
Yeah, we're going to post on Snowball tomorrow.
Yeah,
Rusty's tier list, week 1.
Rusty's tier list, Snowball exclusive. Now, so that's okay. I like how you said like it's not. It could be really anyone when it comes to things. And I hope that Mammoth prove us wrong. I hope if they do end up watching this and they come on and they see us not bad mouthing, but we're being critical here, and they see it and be like, yeah, you know what? I want to prove these guys wrong. I love that stuff. Turn around, get to the top of the split, knock off Legacy. Real quick, I just want to touch on Legacy. What do you think is in the secret sauce at Legacy household? What do you think what kind of, it's halftime for the Space Jam. What kind of water are they drinking? You know what I mean?
I think the water is a system. And like they had the best decision they ever made wasn't just to get the best players, right? It was to have Jensen come over. Jensen's a very smart person. He's very dedicated to what he commits himself to. And he chose for one split to commit fully to Legacy, not to the OPL, to Legacy. And he's made it a monster, right? And the thing is, like, because he is a process-oriented coach, he didn't build a team that has a dependence on him. He built a team that can continue to win without him, which is the best. I'm not going to say legacy. The best thing that he left in his wake, and like there's nothing that'll stop Legacy, I think, if they continue that process. And I said this on the OPL as well after their second win. The only thing that could change that is if one of the teams around them does something that is unexpected.
I think that's interesting process. Like, I've heard that the phrase "trust the process" many times.
Philadelphia, Philadelphia.
When you enter into a space and you're given, here is how this works. Follow this. I've found that in talent. I've found that in whether that's esports or in content. I found that in legal work. Not that, well, not that I'm a lawyer yet, but pretty damn close. Like, I found that in so many different walks that when you trust the process, it might not happen on your timeline or what you think your timeline is in your head, but you will see change. And I've definitely felt that with Legacy. I've felt that last year was the process establishment year, and this year we're actually seeing Legacy come to be a full fruiting tree, if you will.
As long as the process is good, right?
Yes, of course, of course. Big caveat, big caveat. Gotta get the right process
there. Legacy has a good process, so like absolutely credit to them because they're doing it well. The one process that could be their undoing is the league infrastructure around them, right? Like the teams that are in the bottom of the table aren't as full time, to my knowledge, anymore. Like if that change happens around them, there's things that may affect them that they're not prepared for. That could be a factor as well.
No, I completely agree. Yeah. Now, we chatted about this with. We're going to take a little one, down to our boys in Valorant. Now, I've been playing it a bit. I know that Judge has been playing a bit.
Oh yeah.
Have you been playing it a bit?
I forgot that we were doing anything OPL related. I was playing Valorant before this. I was timing my Valorant games to get here on time. Dude, I haven't stopped.
You haven't stopped?
I haven't
wow.
stopped.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that because we're going to chat a bit about Valorant right now. I would love to hear your initial thoughts on like you seeing this becoming an esports. Is it going to be?
Yeah, I think it just will. The awesome thing about Valorant is that it was so hyped like by the community without any prodding by the company that I think the esport comes naturally. It's a competitively designed game. It's designed very well. There's only very few things released and it's all well done, right? Like few guns, few maps, all good. So I see no reason that it won't be an esport in the next few months and already has tournaments, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything's community run at the moment, but I tend to agree the way that not just the FPS community, but the Riot community looking for another polished product, the FPS community looking for something new that's not a battle royale, and something that's a little bit fresh. I think that Valorant's filled this gap for a lot of people. It works. That's a big and that seems like something that's so trivial, but the game works. You can play this FPS. Notwithstanding my system is ridiculous and certainly not the average consumer, but like achieving 100 FPS for a competitive shooter is really easy with Valorant. It actually fundamentally works. And I think when we've done from a system on the FPS scene that's had to put up with fundamentally broken games and putting up with them through beta to a release, like that is a big winner. And I think that's part of its success. And natively why it'll be a good esport. It's already got custom matches.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I mean, if it's community run, then if it ever goes wrong, Riot can just step in and Papa Riot can run it properly themselves, you know?
Give it a little spanking and then move on.
They're already getting sample sizes on what works best. The community's doing the sampling for them because they're just so damn excited. Like, isn't that perfect?
Yeah.
Don't need to have test cases or run them yourself when you can look to community discords and go, cool. So how many teams did you have in your region sign up and how well did our custom games hold up in our infrastructure? Thanks for sussing that.
Yeah.
Just asking for a friend. Like, no, bro, it's not your project. It's someone's doing something different. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. It's so easy for them to collect data from the community right now. And that's good. That can only lead to, if Riot use it, and we know Riot uses data very well, it can only lead to good infrastructure in the future.
But man, isn't that a crying shame about that this is a good a game should be released and should be running like Valorant. I mean, like that should be the standard right now. But here we are talking about how good that this game is. Like it
runs.
landed, it runs, it literally it runs. It didn't cost anything, and I'm like, where's the catch? Where's the catch?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be something in there. Like maybe it's like how addictive it is. Like I mean, people will.
I mean, I think Rusty and I can both attest to the fact that Riot Games make that it's addictive, and Riot Games don't produce video games. They sell digital narcotics that steal money to get skins. Like that is what they're making. You see that new collection, that featured collection come out, and you're like, put it in me. Like it is what it is, and Riot are going to continue fleecing me.
Valorant though is like, and you just discussed it being polished, but like PUBG, I loved PUBG, and the reason that I loved it is because it wasn't right. Like I love the fact that I could be driving a car, there's just a pebble there, and I'm somehow in the sky. Like that's amazing. I don't even care that something's gone wrong. Then it's just so funny. But like the opposite has to be true with the game type that Valorant is, and they have absolutely put the effort into that.
I think PUBG kind of had the Bethesda effect that like PUBG was released and we put up with bugs because we'd put up with bugs in games for so long. It's just these bugs were fucking hilarious. Like you could have like you said, you hit a pebble and all of a sudden physics has thrown you off the map, but you could jump through a tree and it's fine. Doesn't matter, bro. You know. It's also, it kind of felt more sandboxy because of the nature of a large island for Battle Royale. But if we were having those sorts of bugs where you jump on a box in Valorant to get a peek or a wide peek on someone, and all of a sudden you're flying through the map, I don't think the FPS community would be happy, would they?
No, I mean, we saw I think it was in CSGO, the Fnatic boost, stuff like that. Like when you start to see those things come about, you're like, that's not fair. And it's because of the game types. Just like that's an exploit that's not allowed, even though they could do that. Like if that happened in a Valorant game, people would be upset. But if that happened in PUBG, that's on like this little isolated corner over this random pixel 2 kilometers away from where you are once, you know?
That's it. I think as well, and testament to Riot and their balance team, they've been really good at patching that. I mean, we saw as our players with abilities that can explore a map, we've seen heaps of Sage boosts, or you put Jet on a Sage wall and see where she jumps to, and Riot's patching them like mad. But the community's also pretty receptive to it. It's kind of it burns quickly and fiercely, but then Big Daddy Riot comes with the extinguisher and puts out these kind of bugs and exploits too. So I think they've done really well in researching the genre it is they're getting into with the Valorant dev team and going, cool, this community does not want stuff like this. They want to find it, they want to use it, and then they want it patched and gone, so it can't be competitive.
Yeah. Now I think Judge asked a great question to Bullet earlier, but I want to ask you it as well. So what are your top 3 rated agents right now?
As in like the best 3 or my 3?
Your 3, man. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I only care what you think. I want to hear what you have to say. Because what Bullet said, he said Sage and then Breach and is it Raze? I haven't unlocked that one yet.
Reyna?
No, Raze. He loves the rockets. That's what he loves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 1 to play is Raze for sure. I love Sova just because the recon aspect feels very me. I'm not a shooter player. Remember, I'm a MOBA kid, so not taking the peaks but having the knowledge is a big win.
Yep.
And I'm actually like a field player, right? So I've played more Brimstone than anything else because trainers running around.
Yes,
I'm hearing a lot of that.
Brimstone. Yes.
Yeah, Ty's in chat. He is a big fan of Old Man Brimstone.
It's a good character.
Oh, Brimstone's just so good.
Is there something about Brimstone that like you gravitate towards?
It's the play. Like it's you have a mini game within the game. I think that's really cool. Like there's times where I spend more time just looking at my wrist trying to put a smoke down than actually aiming at people. It could be a bad habit, but it's a lot of fun.
I mean, you're trying to take a point and you got Brimstone looking at his watch going, I don't know what time it is. Maybe.
Where are they pushing, boys? Don't worry, I got 3 smokes still. I didn't
Yeah.
use them start of the round.
Yeah.
Let me use 400 IQ wrinkly brain power to make sure they don't push us.
Yeah, let me
I
have
love
like let me have a orbital bombardment on the map. Like, let's see that in CS:GO, right?
it.
Now, you've been playing it a lot as well. Do you have any expert? I'm going to call you an expert because let's face it, that's what you are. I said that, so you can put that in your Wikipedia if you want. You can quote me on that one. But can I get your advice on what I'm new? What advice would you give someone that's new that's starting out?
So a lot of the advice I've been giving to people is like, so remember that I'm not the best, but I've been playing with a lot of league players. So they're all like brand new to the FPS genre where I played a lot of CS. The biggest thing for me is like calm down, right? Like so many players that are new to the game, everything's scary. Behind every corner is a bad guy. They've smoked me. I'm doomed. Like everything that could go wrong is going wrong in your head. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just relax. Like if you're on defense, they have to come to you. If you're on offense and they've smoked, you have time, right? Like having that patience is massive because if they all smoke at the start, they don't have any more, right? But people get so swept up in it and they freak out and do stuff. So that's probably the number one thing I tell beginner players.
Absolutely. Spot on. I was saying with Bullet in the chat earlier that I just find everyone is so keen because it's casual to push and try and get 45 to 70 frags a game and post it on Twitter and Reddit for clout that like unless you're an absolute FPS gamer, you're not going to get those kind of stats. So if you want to get some wins on the board and have some fun, just mellow, just chill a little bit, hold your angles, make sure your crosshairs at head height as much as you
There's
can.
a lot of foot goblins.
Yep, a lot of foot goblins, and people, not only foot goblins, but then moving around a corner and not actually looking at the corner they're moving to. They're kind of watching the pavers under their feet and not the brickwork in front of them. So, yeah, I think just taking those and just chilling. And Nico, are you writing these down, by the way?
Yeah, I actually did write them down.
We'll play
good,
after and we'll find out how much you
Yeah,
learned.
carry me to victory. But because I played Jet a lot, and I was saying I'm gonna keep saying it. I was saying it earlier because I've already said it, but like I was playing Jet a lot, and I find that a lot of fun of just buying the shotgun, having full armor, and buying full spells, and just zip zip bam. Like I try and do the whole like I Omoewa Shinderu, and I'm right behind them, and I'm bam, blasting them in, dust off that.
Teleports behind you.
Yeah.
Nothing personnel, kid.
Did you just get the wrong character as well?
I think so.
You got everything wrong in that. You're like Hanzo, but it's Genji as well.
No. Am I? You remember that meme? That meme that was like, Nani?
No, I know.
Yeah. but
no,
Genji
is now wrong.
All right. Sorry, I'm miles away. But I think it's like in the same vein as Overwatch. It's kind of it gives me that feeling of like I don't have to rely, like you said earlier, like, you don't have to rely on being like a headshot master. I mean, Shroud said this earlier today. I was watching a video about him where he was saying that it's a good FPS for people that don't play FPS to get into. You have people that are coming from League of Legends, like yourself, and everyone's coming from the right brand onto Valorant. I think that like this is probably a good baby's first FPS game. I mean, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get like a feel of the controls. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. No, I think it's probably the perfect bridging competitive FPS. There are some other ones that I think are like still good for beginners, like PUBG, but it's a different experience. Like if you want to just get better at clicking heads and still be able to play with better players, if you can't do it, like this is ideal. Like you can actually play with your friends of all skill levels because there's roles, but the roles still have enough limitations that the better players still win.
Yeah, hands down. And I find like comparing it to the other FPS titles we have that are popular right now, if you're a brand new FPS player, like there's always Call of Duty, but that's a very different brand of FPS. You can run and gun with that no matter what. But aside from that, if you're looking at like competitive shooters that we're used to in the PC gaming space, you're really looking at CS and Rainbow Six, and they don't do a lot of hand holding for new players at all. CS is
Definitely not Rainbow
extremely
Six.
hands off with that.
Yeah, Rainbow Six is not very. You're gonna die a lot. You're gonna die a
Yeah.
lot, and it's gonna make you feel like an idiot for doing it.
But like I feel with Valorant, it just while there's still a learning curve, I don't find it anywhere near as steep as CS or anywhere near as steep as Rainbow Six. Yet you've got potentially more to learn on a base level in terms of characters and abilities and what they do every round compared to something like Siege. You know, like there's a lot of depth there.
Again, I think the biggest thing that I'm telling new players as well is how to aim because they're all so good at using their abilities, right? Like,
Yeah.
there was a game with one of my friends who averaged, I think it was 8 for his economy in the post game stats. Like, he did 8 damage for every 1,000 gold he spent in the game. But he was playing Cypher and was enjoying the camera stuff so much that he like actually just like was only playing that for the game. I was like, stop playing him for a little bit and learn how to click ahead, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that too. But boys, we can talk about Valorant all night because we have been. But we're gonna jump over to what I like to call "What's Up with Ray." What's up with him? What's up with him? If no one knows who Ray is, then where have you been moving? He is one of the co-founders of Snowball Esports, and he is an absolute gem in the community. And we love him so much that we have to poke fun at him. So
We do. We really do.
We do.
And this comes from a place of love. What's up with Ray is kind of like an intervention, but you don't want it to stop because it's just free memes constantly. All right, Nico, should I introduce everyone to our
You're the first
first?
cab up the rank. Let's hear it.
All right, look, for those that don't know, Andrew Ray is also a wonderful poet at heart.
Oh, music.
Music
to my
it's
ears.
beautiful. And let me read a passage from one of his most well-known pieces. I'm Iron 1. Twitter is giving me a spray. I have another horrible take. You guess right, I'm Snowball Ray. Ugh. It speaks to me on a deep level.
I'm Snowball Ray. Oh,
Snowball
man.
Ray.
You sound like a gangster. You sound like a gangster in New York when you say that. Have you heard about Snowball Ray? Oh, don't go that part of town.
I think you had to fit in a couple of characters in there. Just thought Snowball fit the best.
Snowball Ray. He's kind of like he's like Scarface, but instead of sitting there with mountains of cocaine behind him, it's just all memes and push-ups.
Exactly, memes and push-ups. Is there anything else to live on? I got one now, and I think this one's an absolute treat. How bloody good is it to be back on the beers? Back on the beers. And he's just taking a photo of a beer. No, he's not in it. It's just a photo of a beer, and it looks like he's drinking it a little bit as well.
Mate, it's because the beer is the focus here, Nico. The focus of conversation.
Exactly. You have another one, Judge? I want to hear another one, Judge.
I got another one. I know it's not a poem this time, but it's some sage wisdom. And this is for all of you working from home. It's only taken Ray 6 weeks, but he finally decided to wear track pants into the home office. If he's going to be a high-performing person, then he's going to be in comfortable, high-performing clothing. So, fun tip, make sure you get your track pants out, especially in the cold Aussie winter, and you can be high-performing just like Ray is.
This was during the push-up challenge, to be fair. So
I
can't fault him for that one. I remember seeing that tweet. It's like, you're a smarter man than I am.
He wasn't just wearing active wear to show off at coffee with the ladies. He was actually active in active wear trackies. So well done, Ray. Proud of you.
I was in trackies day dot. So I mean, I folded harder than him.
Mate, I wasn't in pants, so like you guys did much better than me.
The king of the ISO right here. I think I've got another one as well. I think I've got one. This one's straight from Ray's Twitter. Let me tell you, I had my Legion energy this morning, and I feel like that glowy brain meme right now. The glowy brain, he's really showing his age right now.
Does he mean like expanding mind?
Like the single brain, bam, bam, bam. Yeah. See, it's like watching the sausage being made, reading this tweet. You know what I mean?
Like, it's just class. I love Ray so much, and it's classic Ray that instead of finding glowy brain meme, and making the meme. He just tweets that he's having that out of body experience.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up,
you got
Ray?
one more. You got one more, Judgy?
I got one more for you. When we're trying to work out what is the inner workings of Ray, you got to also know that he's a passionate man. And Ray is very passionate about one particular journalist at Snowball Esports. And sorry, it's not you, Amos. It's Mr. Isaac McIntyre. He tweeted out, "If Isaac McIntyre has million number of fans, I am one of them. If Isaac McIntyre has 10 fans, I am one of them. If Isaac McIntyre has no fans, that means I am no more on the earth. If world against Isaac McIntyre, I am against the world." Classic Twitch chat copy pasta.
Yeah.
What a
wait. So wait a minute. If he gets chosen to be on Mars, does that mean as soon as he gets on Mars, he's like, I'm no longer an Isaac McIntyre fan? Is that what he's trying to say?
No, it means he's dead. He's prophesying about his death. Yeah. Ray's very forward thinking and open to his mortality.
It's like he's just defended everyone at Snowball more than anything else with that.
I feel like it. Everyone else, yeah, but Isaac McIntyre, though, that guy. Now, real quickly, Rusty, I really want you to think right now, because I'm going to do one more What's Up with Ray, but I want you to think real quickly, what's your favorite Ray story? Just real quick, have a ponder while I read this one out. I've stopped being asked for ID lately when buying alcohol, and I'm not too sure if that's a good thing. Oh man, that is like the checklist of like midlife crisis, not being asked for ID. A chick, yeah, it's the biggest boomer tweet I've ever heard, and that's coming from me.
It is. It is. And if we dust you off and put you in a glass cabinet, Nico, you could be in a museum.
100%. I'm an artifact. Put me in the esports museum next to like Thorin's golden throne, and Double Lips mouse for when he I think he was playing against Echo Fox, and the mouse that he used for playing against Echo Fox that year. But Rusty, have you had time to ponder what is your favorite race story?
So many. So many I can't say. One of them I thought was very funny is I'll just mention it for Ray's sake, is the Dirty Tracks Ray. I'll move past that one though. My favorite one was very recently, actually. We were at a wedding, and while we're at the wedding, we were definitely well past the time of the ceremony, which means we were many bevs deep. And it hit that point. I think there's like a critical mass when too many males in the same room. There's a competition that has to happen.
No.
Ray basically decided to brag about how good he is at planks. And we're all hammered. So we're just like, yes, like you can't just say you're good at it right now. Like, go for it. He's like, I'll do 3 minutes. So for 3 minutes, the man legitimately just in the middle of a wedding, just did a plank on the floor while we're all watching him and did it for 3 minutes. Past 3 minutes. I think he got 3 minutes and 15 seconds. He's a machine.
Wow. The man is superhuman. He's a philosopher. He has glowy brain memes. He's a poet. And the man is made of steel, apparently.
Yeah, he likes to get on the beers as well. That's what I've come to know.
What a man.
Rusty, I just want to really, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. That's been What's Up with Ray. And Rusty, you've been absolute gem, a treat. Do you have anything to plug? Do you want to shout out anything?
No, not really. Just follow me on Twitter if you don't.
Follow him on Twitter. Can we get? Let's get his socials in the Twitter. If he's got a ton of followers already, so I follow him, and you should too if you're not following him as well. I feel like there's some news coming up as well. While you rattle off the news, I'm gonna hold my cat and flaunt my cat to the world. I've had a cat here this whole time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for what's coming up in Weekend Esports. Of course, tonight we have the DreamHack Masters Spring Europe. That's at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and you'll have Na'Vi against the Mad Lions. That's what we talked about at the top of the show when I was talking about what's happened, and that was leading up into that game. Make sure you catch it. It has been some big things over in Europe for DreamHack Masters. Of course, for Nico, just letting you know, tomorrow there's Dota 2 happening. It's the 2020 Blast Bounty Hunt, and that'll be at 12:30 a.m. That means just after midnight So good luck, buddy.
Mhm.
There's also tomorrow the Oceanic Pro League Split 2, 4 p.m. will be Chiefs versus Avant Gaming. Get into your OPL fix starting then. On Saturday, we've got the LCS coming back. It'll be the Summer Series at 11 a.m. 100 Thieves against Evil Geniuses. I'll be tuning in for that one, so make sure you do as well. We also have the OPL at 4 p.m. That'll be Legacy against Mammoth. And with all of the talk of OPL we've had on the show, make sure you get some into your eyeballs. We also have the Overwatch League. That'll be at 6 p.m. on Saturday. London Spitfire against Shanghai Dragons kicking us off for that. And on Sunday, we have more of the LCS Summer Series at 6 a.m. It's Evil Geniuses and CLG. So they're the games that you should be watching coming up this weekend in esports.
Oh.
And-
Jesus Christ, that was awesome. But get yours, get yours.
Hang on, yeah, I'm going to get mine. Hang on, I have a
Yeah,
baby
get yours.
for everyone.
Yeah, he has a baby, not an actual baby, but a dog baby, a fluff baby. While we're showing off our pets, I'd like to quickly, that while Judgy comes back, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. I'd like to thank our guests, Bullet and Rusty. They've been they're absolute friends of the show, and we love them having hearing their insights and having them on. If you don't know where to find us all, is Snowball on Twitter, and oh my god,
This is Ted. He's a good boy.
all right, okay, all right. I'm gonna leave.
Ted, you want to say hello? Come say hello. I know. Hello, Ted.
All right, that's too cute for me. That's too cute for me. Everyone's going to be losing their minds. We're going to wrap the show up here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. Have a good night.
Do you hear what I hear? Do you care? I care.